What is good, YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the seventh album and the second English album by Colombian singer Shakira. Basically, this album came out in late 2005 and it's called Oral Fixation Volume 2. Now, Shakira had pretty solid success in 2001 in the United States with her Laundry Service album. And then in earlier 2005, she dropped Oral Fixation Volume 1, she dropped Oral Fixation Volume 1 in 2005, which was a Spanish album that basically went diamond. It really sold pretty damn well across the United States and other places. And then this album came in the fall of 2005. So this is pretty rock solid. Has a number of dance cuts on here. Shakira's kind of known for some of those dance cuts. That's what some of her breakout songs were from Laundry Service from 2001. But this album is particularly anchored by Hips Don't Lie, which was Shakira's first song to hit #1. And it was basically one of the premier songs of the 2000s in contemporary and kind of urban music and stuff. And really, this is just one, like, Shakira had at least crossed in the territory with Laundry Service and stuff. This is one that just had a very ubiquitous feel and made Shakira a household name throughout 2006. Now, the unfortunate thing, when you're talking April, May, June or so of 2006, Shakira had a lot of hit potential and was just like a household name and stuff. But Don't Bother, the first single, did kind of modest on the charts, which was a fall of 2005 song. And then Illegal, which was the single after Hips Don't Lie, just did not really parallel Hips Don't Lie's success. It was at least kind of hot in the dance club charts. She kind of did similar stuff to what Madonna did, where Madonna was so good at making dance club music, she just would kind of go straight to the dance club charts because she probably would have just kept hitting like high on the charts. But the Billboard 100 eventually just did not have every single one of Madonna's songs wind up charting heavily, like when you think of songs like Hung Up and some of those type songs. But apparently Shakira was starting to do that too, so that's what Illegal did. Illegal did hit #1 on the dance clubs charts, but just didn't really chart otherwise. So it kind of appears like Shakira is a one-hit wonder, but that's just not the case. This does have some nice cuts on here, and it's kind of a modest album, very meek and kind of quiet-esque. But I just would have to say that despite all that, there is some energy on here. This is a very upbeat and positive album. It's not quite as concerned with like super recreational and kind of frivolity and that type stuff. But I would have to say I do like the concept of getting this kind of food for thought dance music. It just makes it for an interesting venture. And it's kind of refreshing just because I can't think of a terrible amount of folks who did this sort of thing like Shakira did. So it's just basically dance music for smart people. I just would have to say that's pretty much the gist of what I got from it. This is kind of the concept. So we'll go ahead and talk about the singles. The first single is Don't Bother, and this came out in the fall of 2005 on the standard edition. If you don't get the reissue from 2006, I mean, I know it's been 17 years now, but if you still happen to get the 2005 edition of Oral Fixation Volume 2, this is the only real single from this album. Yeah, there was just one single. So Don't Bother is basically like an overlooked kind of Shakira song. I definitely feel like this one just doesn't get appreciated enough. It charted pretty decently. Doesn't have the massive success of Hips Don't Lie, but it's a pretty solid Shakira song. It's definitely a straightforward kind of dance bop. It just really feels to me like this is a vanilla kind of dance club song from Shakira. It just really has that kind of early EDM type feel, just EDM music from like 2005, 2006, but just a very kind of paced, kind of this straightforward, this has that 90s dance kind of feel, trance kind of feel almost. Just a nice high mid-tempo, low high tempo kind of feel towards it, but it's just very vanilla. I liked it. Nice chorus, not quite as addictive as Hips Don't Lie, but it's a pretty solid one. So this is just kind of a good example. This one just deals with the relationship breakup and that type of stuff, and this kind of still being upbeat about it and that type of stuff. So it's just a good one. So yeah, good first single. The second single is the song I feel like most folks have probably heard at this stage, and it's Hips Don't Lie with Wyclef Jean. And this is a very festive dance club jam if you don't know the beat on here, if you actually haven't heard the song. Very summery, very steamy, very sultry. This has that kind of aspect about it. This has a real nice evening kind of romantic. Hips Don't Lie has this real kind of sultry looking in your lover's eye, this steamy kind of romanticized kind of feel towards it. Just a little bit more kind of winding of a song. This one's a little bit more rousy than like Don't Bother was, but I do kind of like the concept of it. It's just an overall highlight. This was just a good, I mean, it kind of was rousy and blousy and stuff, but then it kind of wasn't. I mean, it was just kind of, it was great. It was just impactful how Shakira managed to make such a riveting and kind of strong emotion kind of song like that, but then not have it be over the top and kind of hammy and stuff and just overly kind of, like over the top. And I think that this is kind of the concept. It was just a nice one that just is kind of a little bit more, starry eyed and that type stuff. But then at the same concept as far as being able to say that it's just a nice overall dance club jam. And Wyclef Jean really contributes to the song well. It's too bad that he doesn't get Shakira and Wyclef were a real good combination. This was just one that I pretty much discovered Wyclef because of this. It was just kind of out of nowhere that he just kind of showed up on this song, and I was like, oh, I need to check out more Wyclef songs. But that was kind of the concept about it. So it was just a good song to kind of get that. Definitely good summery, summer haze kind of dance club cut on here. Definitely deserved to be number one. The third single is Illegal. The third single is Illegal. And this is, to me, this kind of feels like basic elevator and hotel music. This has just a real relaxed and kind of lambent kind of beat on here. It's very slow and just, I guess because I didn't realize that this song hit number one on the dance club charts. I guess this is just more of a slow dance kind of song. I guess it can be a dance song. I just saw it as elevator and hotel kind of music. It's something you'd listen to while getting waffles and orange juice and breakfast in the morning before you leave and that type stuff. Some of those type moments, just having nice, good festivity and just kind of interim type stuff, just kind of going in between places, early shopping mall type stuff. But it is kind of a slow dance tune. So Shakira gave us 3 dance club singles. Probably the most steamy one is Hips Don't Lie. The most probably romantic one, now that I think about it, is Illegal. I mean, even though Hips Don't Lie is pretty sultry, I feel like Illegal is a little bit more romanticized and a little bit more monogamous and just slow dance like. And then Don't Bother's kind of the paced kind of. And then Don't Bother's kind of the paced, kind of frivolous kind of one that just has a lot more rambunctiousness towards it. So I just kind of look after it So yeah, 3 good dance cuts. There's some good stuff on here. So I'll go ahead and recommend the 6 songs out of 13 I recommend to you. So those 6 songs would be Don't Bother, Illegal, Hips Don't Lie, Animal City, Hey You, and Tamor. Tamor is kind of an upbeat dance jam, has a real kind of electronica kind of feel towards it. It's different from Shakira's typical pop rock that she does, but this one's probably the most electronica sounding of most of the singles on here. But it is kind of a food for thought kind of song. And this is very upbeat, positive like, and this has smarter kind of lyricism in there that just is not typical of a dance club jam. So it's not so much just about wanting to find a partner and that type of stuff, but just kind of about the goings on and that type of stuff. So it's interesting kind of get that. Hey You is kind of a saucy jive cut. I like this one. It's not really so much of like a dance club jam, but it does remind me of somewhere you listen to, places for a date type stuff. It's a song that you'd listen to at places for a date, like Putt Putt Golf and restaurants. Very restaurant-esque. This is a nice jive cut and saucy. So I just like the concept of that one. Hey You is just kind of a more evening commute kind of tune. Just the sort of stuff that you'd listen to where you're not necessarily at the job, that type of stuff, but just kind of more the reflectionary, just 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 p.m. type stuff as you kind of have some evening life kind of going on. Just the kind of date-esque and restaurant-esque type stuff. And I feel like Animal City is another low-key kind of evening song. I definitely feel like the kind of synthy. Animal City is another low-key kind of evening cut. This is kind of like a light electronic type song. It's not quite a dance club song, but it does kind of have some electronic feel towards it. This kind of reminds me of a song that you'd listen to as things are getting ready to happen. It just has that getting ready to step out, where Hey You is kind of more in the moment of having stepped out, but Animal City is kind of prior to it where you're getting ready to do some stuff. And then Tamor is kind of on the dance floor and that type of stuff. So there's just some good ones. In between all these, I'm glad that Shakira kind of packed like this album full of dance cuts because she can dance. I mean, the whole concept of her Hips Don't Lie song was just how good she can move her hips, and you can see that in that video. So this is kind of the concept. So she's a pretty good dancer and stuff, and it's interesting to kind of get her doing some of these dance club cuts. I look after it when I think of other folks that can dance like Sierra and Missy Elliott, and there's probably some other ones I can't think of, but Sierra, Missy Elliott, those type people. I just feel like this one just has a little bit more kind of embrace towards it in terms of like the concept of not quite just being about having a good time and drinks up, and not quite so much having a good time and drinks up and find your partner and that type of stuff. But it just kind of has more of like this little bit more vague, this more occupied kind of attitude about it. I just think that's just kind of the concept. But it is interesting to kind of get some of these. I feel like some of the most furious dance cuts on here would be Hips Don't Lie, and Hey You is a pretty nice one, and then Illegal is a slow dance one. Don't Bother is kind of a rousing, kind of pretty solid mid-tempo one. Animal City's kind of getting ready to have things happen, and then Timor's kind of amidst the dance club, just late at night, 9-10 p.m. dance club, but it's just very peppy and upbeat. It just doesn't have the kind of foul energy about it. So those are just some ones. The thing about this album though is there's a lot of like, it's pretty much divided about halfway down the middle with like the more down tempo and just kind of pop rock kind of makeshift kind of tunes on here, which I just don't think suits Shakira very well. It's kind of a tongue twister, but I just don't think that these down tempo kind of pop rock makeshift kind of tunes suit Shakira. I kind of feel like these are just kind of tame, and they don't have a lot of frivolity and energy about them. And considering that Shakira already kind of had that attitude with like her upbeat and jivey kind of dance tunes, it just would make more sense to kind of have like the down tempo moments be lessened, because the up tempo moments have food for thought already. So it's just kind of, you get the concept that it just kind of has something to say, and it's a lot more kind of like a balanced breakfast type altitude, just because you're getting thoughts on Shakira's mind, as opposed to just like the frivolity and just like the bubblegum pop and that type of stuff that you would typically think that would just be there. So it's just kind of the concept where there are some of these like Dreams for Plans, The Day and the Time, Your Embrace, Costume Makes the Clown. A lot of these are just pretty much just sluggish, more kind of makeshift malaise kind of tunes that just don't even have like the pep of really having terrible amounts of much like compellingness to really want to push through them, unless it's just really just going through the motions of just like work sessions and school sessions and that type of stuff. And it's no offense to Shakira, she is talented and stuff, she has good music, but it's just kind of the concept that I feel like Shakira really has a niche that she needed to exploit more. Just, I mean, her breakout album Laundry Service was good, but waiting 4.5 years for the follow up, and then just to get one number one and a couple modest singles otherwise, it just kind of felt like she just kind of lost her window as far as trying to get some of these. And it's not like she can't do it. I mean, she has the capabilities of doing these dance club songs, but it just kind of feels kind of more subdued and kind of like like undervalued as far as that would kind of be. She kind of busts her own chops as far as trying to get that kind of done, but it's too bad, because I mean, this stuff, I mean, I really feel like Shakira probably could have had a more massive window, and she could have been all over the place. Like when I think of like Nelly Furtado, who was kind of similar to Shakira, she really exploited the Loose album from 2006 and got to like the sixth or seventh, maybe even eighth single from that. But this album just was kind of light on that, and it really kind of sums Shakira up with Hips Don't Lie, which is a disappointment because she has a lot more. And it's, you know, probably with at least two of her albums, I would have to say that that's the case. So it's just kind of, but me liking 6 songs out of 13. I would have liked La Tortura also, but I think I would just like the original version that's on Oral Fixation Volume 1. I'll have to try that album out eventually or something. But me liking 6 songs out of 13, I'm going to give this album a solid 5 out of 10. It's middle of the road, has the cuts on here, has some great singles, some great dance cuts at that, and just some decent, solid, jivey kind of energy for the right moments, and especially depending upon how much you like the more food for thought kind of altitude of these lyrics. But I kind of feel like at the same time, as much as these songs hit, the concept behind it is it still is easy. It's an easy kind of thing to say that Shakira is just a one-hit wonder, just because the other singles just don't have the jump off the page energy of Hips Don't Lie. So it's kind of, I feel like some people would just write her off without a second thought, and it's just kind of, well, that's not the case, and it's definitely not the truth for the quality, but it's just an easy kind of guilty pleasure to kind of do that, and it's just, which is just not the case. That's just kind of the thing. But 5 out of 10. The social score I will give like a 6 out of 10, because there are some gems on here that I do think are worthwhile, but it just depends upon the ability. I mean, if none of these, I would have to say, if none of these have the sheer velocity of Hips Don't Lie, it's just, it boils down to the patience factor for the people listening to it. Just being able to say, I would recommend Don't Bother, because that is a pretty solid other song. It's an underrated Shakira song. It's definitely one that just doesn't get enough praise. That's one to check out. And Illegal is definitely a pretty solid slow dance song, just to kind of, if you don't want like all these up tempo jivey kind of ones. So this is a slow dance classic. So it's just kind of some of those moments. And there are some other dance moments on here with varying moods towards it. So it's just kind of underneath that context. So I give Shakira credit for that. In terms of the future, Shakira's been kind of quiet. I know at least that she dropped an album in 2014. I want to say that she dropped a couple other albums since then. I haven't checked in with her in a while, and I want to get back to doing that. But there is some good stuff here, and I will have to cover some more of her down the road and such.